YouTube Void. What's going on? How was your week or weeks? Hi, my name is Rachel. I am an artist / part-time reseller that makes part-time pay / person who is obsessed with sustainability, saving things from the landfill. Climate change is real. And combining all of that into one channel that I always love to say nobody really asked for and nobody's really watching. In addition to that, as always, I sprinkle in or at least my facts of running a small part-time business and the margins, the difference between the gross profit and the net profit, and seeing how vastly different those two are. And also trying to give back to my community, promoting something that I like to call empathic capitalism, especially after watching all of the Reckless Ben stuff, which, I mean, nobody's watching this video, but it's like, am I going to be sued by just saying Reckless Ben? Who knows? But we see in real time a lot of corporations really not giving a crap about not even just their customers, but people, and not being a part of the community and not giving back. And so that's what I've been trying to do in a very, very small way. So all of that rolled into one fun little video series with a lot of my cat, a little bit of my boyfriend, and some videos that I slice in between. And the last video was like an hour because it took me 2 weeks to do a video because I was off at my nephew's graduation. This time around, I am again 2 weeks late because after graduation, I got hit with the plague. I'm sure everybody's had it by now, but this thing was horrible, and all last week it was very difficult to be a human being. And then this week I actually start rehearsals for a show, so it's been crazy, which I can't really talk about yet because it hasn't been announced, but holy crap. So trying to find the time to do this continually is a little bit more difficult than I thought. But hey, nobody's watching it except me, so it's all good. Yeah, that's pretty much about it.
I didn't like it.
What do the avocado think?
It's the pits.
So there's a lot to get through. I know, all one person watching this is like, yay. But I'm going to do a week and a half of sales because last week when I was sick, I had quite a few like offers and stuff on things I was selling, but unless it was like a sale, like full price sale, I 100% didn't accept anything, only because like I had to have my boyfriend go to the post office for me. I didn't want to like contaminate anybody. And so I was trying to like, rest and recuperate, which is one thing they don't tell you when you're self-employed. When you are fully employed, you have these things, hopefully, called sick days and vacation days. And that's what sick days are for, to like, get over being sick and to still get compensated, because you can't help it when you get sick a lot of the time. When you are self-employed, if you are not working, you are not getting paid. A lot of times, even if you are working, you're not getting paid because the amount of time you work doesn't necessarily like show up in the final like payments that you are receiving, either from reselling or as an actor for auditioning. There's a lot of time that goes into auditions. A lot of times, like 9 out of the 10 auditions that I don't book, I still spend quite a bit of time on them. And still, there's no payoff for that, except that, hopefully I've learned something along the way. So anyways, that's always a fun little reminder of how difficult it is to be self-employed. I mean, honestly, it's difficult to be anything, right? Employed, self-employed, a human being. It's very difficult. And so props to everybody.
I work hard for the money, so hard for the money. Oh, I something money. Come on, give me lots of honey.
Now there's an employee, Smithies.
So we're going to do, technically it's 2 weeks of sales, but it's more like a week and a half. Last week was very minimal. And it's because we're in June, I do have to go over the monthly like sales, like to get to the net profit. Basically, if you're new here, as convoluted as this is, every week I go over sales. I get to what I lovingly refer to as the pre-net, which is basically what the buyer pays, the amount the buyer pays, and then just taking out platform fees, shipping labels if I need to, and any commissions that I pay out, because I do sell some things on consignment. Not anything like the whole reckless spend thing, just to go back to that. But boy, oh boy, watching that made me super nervous. I only do it for friends, and like it's super casual, but they're talking about like all these things you need to do for protection. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I would never do that to somebody I was selling for, but holy crap. Anyways,
I love stealing. I love taking things.
I take all of that and I get to my pre-net. At the end of the month, then I take out everything else, like the eBay store subscription, any shipping supplies that I had to pay for, my cost of goods, because you got to pay for goods, even if you get them at the bins. 50 cents from every sale that I make goes to the Second Harvest Food Bank, our food bank in Orange County, which is my way of trying to be a part of the community and to give back. And also too, holding money aside for taxes. Lots of thoughts on that. But they, meaning the internet Google search, recommends that you hold 30% for taxes. And, I do that just to make sure that I'm going to be okay, to try and be smart. So we get to what as close to an actual net as I can kind of figure out. The other thing, like the whole reckless spend video has taught me, which, like I said, nobody's watching this, so millions of people have watched reckless spend. But one thing that was really apparent with it was that, like, they talk about people who own stores and, like, especially with something called a franchise, which is a whole thing, right? And that, running a business is difficult because there are so many things that go into it, so many details. And if you did not go to business school, it's sometimes hard to figure it out or to even find the information. I know, like, Google is there, and, I'm in the generation that it's like, just Google it. But we have, going to our theme for this week, basically muddied up the search engines with all this stupid shit that it's sometimes hard to, like, figure out what's what. So with all that being said, it is just so difficult to try and figure this whole thing out. And that's why I started really doing these video series, because I really wanted to show how, like, insane the margins are, at least when it comes to, for me, online reselling. And that's just my reality. I figure if I'm experiencing this, other people might be experiencing this as well. So that's why we're here. So yay.
Help me, I'm poor.
So lots to go through. We've got 2 weeks of sales and a whole month of May to figure out. But let's jump to our subject for this week, what I lovingly refer to as the enshittification of reselling. Dun, dun, dun. Holy crap. So the reason why I'm saying this is because not only do I, resell part-time, but I also purchase on these platforms. Most everything I wear is pre-owned. I like to practice what I preach. This is from the bins. Hey, Darth Vader, my pants are from the bins. But a lot of times I'll order things from like Poshmark and eBay. I was looking for a dress on Poshmark. Why on Poshmark instead of eBay? Because Poshmark has a flat shipping like label that they send you for a flat price, which is under $7. And that is cheaper, especially for a dress, which is usually over £1 than somebody could send through eBay, because they have to purchase their shipping label and they're not going to get that kind of a discount. So I like to help out the seller by purchasing heavier stuff on Poshmark. I was looking for a dress from Unique Vintage, and which is a retro store that I absolutely adore and love. And I know I've worn so many of their dresses. I know like the sizing and measurements and stuff. And when I did, holy crap. Horrible. So usually for me, I like to sort. And this time around, I was sorting by price, low to high. I kind of like to do that just to kind of see, if there's any deals without having to like offer 50% off on Poshmark, which is a whole thing that I already did a video on. But so I go and sort by price, low to high, and lo and behold, Poshmark, which has fully embraced the promoted listings thing, which we'll talk about, does not sort low to high. They have like a row of the lowest priced dresses, and then there will be another row of anything that's promoted. $50, $100, like not lowest priced. And then maybe you'll get one or two rows of, going back to the prices, lowest, highest. And then again, another row of promoted listed dresses. And it's like, it took me twice as long to find what I was looking for. And then, I had money in Poshmark, and this has been going on for a while, but from sales, and I go to, deposit it into my checking account, and I have to like decline 4 or 5 advertisements before I can get my money sent to my bank account. Credit card offers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, literally, WTF. I mean, already I have to narrow down searches because I just go like unique vintage dress and I'm getting like 50 bazillion listings. And half of those are not anything at all that I'm looking for. Not to mention the fact that a lot of people are AI listing. So, personal opinion, I don't think they're as knowledgeable about things. And so it's just kind of things are just going out there. It's like almost like throwing crap at a wall and seeing what sticks. The problem is it wants to stick to me because I'm the one who wants to pay for it. And if I can't find it because it's lost in a sea of just so much crap, then that doesn't help the seller. And I mean, when we look at what reselling is and like platforms like eBay and Poshmark and what their initial intention was, I do not think it was to become Amazon. And now I feel like that's what every platform is trying to be. eBay is very different from Amazon. eBay and Poshmark deal a lot with pre-owned stuff. When something is pre-owned, you don't have like multiple quantities of it. You're not like a clothing store where somebody's looking for something and then they need it in a specific size and you have 50 million of them so they can just order it there. Or from Amazon where, you order everything and everything listed is the same thing, usually from Alibaba. And it's just like then the cheapest price wins out because you're just purchasing the same thing and it's all new. Amazon used to have a lot more like pre-owned stuff, but I believe some of the ways that they have been collecting fees from sellers have made it very difficult to sell on Amazon. I'm not an Amazon seller, so I don't want to go into that. But in my opinion, Poshmark and eBay, Mercari, again, those are the only 3 platforms I really deal with for me, are more about things that are pre-owned, which means then somebody is specifically a lot of times looking for it. Like for me, I am looking for a specific kind of dress, unique vintage. It's not actually vintage. It's a company that makes dresses that's inspired by, vintage time periods. But I can buy that pre-owned because I don't need to try it on because I know that company and I know that dress style And I know what the measurements need to be and what the sizes need to be for it to most of the time fit. Or here's another example. I sing for churches on Sunday, and one of the churches, one of my music chairs, she wanted a stuffed cat because during the pandemic, we were not in church. We were doing stuff remotely. And one of the houses where they had to do like all of the Zoom stuff had a cute little tabby cat. And so she wanted like to put that in the church as like a reminder, a very cute reminder. So I went in and I was looking for something specifically and I found it. I was doing a scene with my scene partner from Streetcar Named Desire, and I wanted to get him a copy of the play because, we both really enjoyed it, but we all had like, PDF copies. So I bought one from eBay. Like, these are the reasons why I go to these sites. And if these companies are making it that much more difficult for us as a buyer to find something, it means that it is going to ultimately hurt the seller. And honestly, in my personal opinion, hurt the company. So what is going on? Anyways, what is enshittification? I mean, at this point now, we all know what it is because it seems to be happening everywhere all at once.
So enshittification is this dirty word I came up with to describe how platforms go bad.
Enshittification is the gradual degradation of an online platform or service's quality. Coined by author and tech critic Cory Doctorow, it describes the cycle where a platform initially attracts users with high-quality service, then prioritizes business customers, and finally exploits both groups to maximize short-term profits for shareholders. Well, yeah, that pretty much, I feel, sums it up. I mean, eBay is publicly traded and they are beholden to shareholders. Poshmark was publicly traded at one point. It is now privately owned. However, they are operating like they have shareholders and are following eBay's leads in a lot of things. Hence my rant earlier. And Mercari, which is the last one that I sell on, it's kind of hard to tell with Mercari. I personally don't purchase things on Mercari. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of their customer service. Their search engine is a little funky. I have a hard time finding what I need. Like, I will search on Mercari sometimes and I'll give up because it is very flooded. It's hard to really do some like really good keyword searches, and they allow less photos than everybody. So sometimes I feel like a lot of pictures that I want to see, especially like of damage of things or whatever, is not there. So, which could totally be on the seller. So we'll set Mercari aside. But yeah, eBay has always been the platform for collectors. It has been the platform, again, for people who want to find something. And they have increased their profits for their shareholders. But I think if you would talk to a lot of resellers, it's at the expense of them. And the funny thing is that like selling platforms should be about the buyer's experience because they're the ones spending the money. However, personal opinion, I think that these platforms realize that there are a lot of sellers who like make a living from reselling, and then they need the platform more than the buyers do because the buyers have so many options. So they know they can get the money out of the buyers. Hence, all of this stuff we're seeing. Because eBay, if I am saying this correctly, was the one who started promoted listings, at least with like the reselling platform. Amazon had promoted listings, I think, first. But with Amazon, a lot of times, like let's use an example of polybags that I use. A lot of times I'm seeing the same product and sometimes it's the same price and it's all the same thing because, people have drop shipped it from a company like Alibaba again or wherever. And so for me, it is beneficial for somebody to pay to have their listing at the top of the search, because that's what I'm going to click on. It's the first thing there. If I have to scroll down and scroll down and scroll down, you've lost me, right? Especially if it's all the same thing. So that's where promoted listing works. But when it comes to things that are pre-owned, and I know people, like, this is a hill people will die on. People get so intense about promoted listings. And in my opinion, it's probably because people feel like they have to pay it. And it's like one way that they can control their income. And so if you feel like other people don't have to do what you have to do, it's frustrating. You feel like, you're wronged or you feel ripped off. And I understand that. I personally do not promote listings because I can't afford it. We see what my margins are. I have enough, luckily, storage space at this time so that I can, leave things for a while to wait for them to sell, which I know is not everybody's circumstances. But I just I can't afford it. I can't afford to give them any more money. I barely make anything, as we've seen, to begin with. But like Spirit Airline, when Spirit Airline decided to charge for a second bag and then for bags in general, checked bags, I should say, the other airlines didn't go, well, that's stupid, that's sucky, that's not beneficial to the customer. No, they all said, hey, here's another way that we can get income. And they all started doing it. And that's exactly what's going on with promoted listings. eBay started doing it, and now, hence, Poshmark with now their promoted listings that now interrupt your search engine, like your sorting that you do. And it is, in my opinion, just another way for these platforms to get extra money. I don't think it is beneficial to the buyer. It is so stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Does not compute. Does not compute. Does not compute.
And now eBay changed their promoted listing policy where it's it's not just you have to click on it and then purchase it to get those fees taken out. It's all of it. It doesn't matter. You could, think about it from the other room and not even click on the listing. And they're like, oh, promoted fees. I mean, that's in addition to the fact that I just look at a listing. Let's say I'm researching a listing, like from last week, 2 weeks ago, the I Love Lucy dolls. I got, no joke, 5 offers of I Love Lucy dolls because I just looked at the photos. And I'm I didn't like the listing, but apparently it triggered something to the seller to send me an offer. And I'm I already have this doll. I don't need another one. I'm not greedy. So when I do like something and somebody does send me a targeted offer, like on Poshmark, now my feed is so flooded with, especially as I'm researching stuff, with offers of stuff that I'm not even interested in. I miss a lot of the stuff that I am interested in. It's just these companies are thinking of how they can get as much profit from this stuff as possible. And I don't begrudge a company making money. I appreciate eBay and Poshmark. I think that they are great resources for people to make some extra money. And I am grateful. However, I pay a store subscription every month. I pay fees, and they're not cheap. On eBay, they take fees out of everything, including the sales tax that the buyer pays that they remit to the state, So we need to get back to I don't know, customer satisfaction. I don't understand. And it's frustrating. And it sucks. So we are in my humble opinion to my audience of myself, the enshittification of reselling. Between AI, between promoted listings, between all of this stuff that we have to do. Hey, you want your money from the stuff that you've sold on Poshmark? Well, okay, you need to decline this credit card. Oh, and we're not going to get eBay off the hook because eBay sends me constantly offers for credit. Being able to finance my inventory, basically a loan. And I'm just like, we haven't even gone into the fact that they all offer like Klarna and all this other like payday loan adjacent kind of stuff. And it's like, can we just get back to providing people with a great service? Because I think it's awesome. Let's say you have something that is super special to you and it breaks and you need to replace it. eBay is the place to go. Oh my gosh, they did it in, what was it, Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, you know?
Ladies and gentlemen, the next item up, a black velvet painting of a sorrowful kitten.
It's like it's looking into my soul.
Go to eBay, go to Poshmark. But these companies have now realized that, you know, they need to get as much money as possible as they are ruining their brand and their business model. And it's just sad. It just sucks. It's like, as a buyer, I don't have a lot of time. Life is crazy enough. I don't have a lot of time to just sit on the internet and shop. Like, if I want something, I want to be able to look for something and have it like, you know, and have an easier time finding what I'm looking for. And, you know, what do we do about it? Because for me, it's always about, okay, this is something I have no control over and it sucks. And I'm acknowledging that it sucks and I'm ranting about it. What do we do? For now, I'm not sure. All I can do is try and be as transparent as possible and as detailed as possible, and to try and do my best to find a way to get my listings to the right people. And then someday I will buy eBay. Sorry, GameStop. Or Poshmark or one of those platforms, and I will make it a platform that people love to shop on. And be okay with a smaller amount of profit. Because at the end of the day, having happy people and doing something like eBay is centered like around pre-owned stuff. It's like saving stuff from a landfill and making sure it doesn't go to that landfill. It's great. It's great. Chef's kiss. So that's what we'll do. But until that day, we carry on and we do our best and realize that we have now entered the enshittification phase. So I think I've ranted enough. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. So we're in a weird spot. I'm missing 2 weeks of sales, plus I haven't gone over like my technical, what I would consider my net profit for May. So we'll go over 2 weeks ago sales, and then we'll go over the pre-net and net for that month. And then we'll go over last week of sales. And there are very few, like I said, because I was sick and I didn't accept like any offers or anything. I didn't do much in the way of anything. The only other thing to know is that when I say the days of the sales, it's just the days that I send them to the post office. So there we go. So we're looking at 2 weeks ago. Woo-hoo! Okay, we're looking at 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago on Monday, it was Memorial Day. So no post office. So we start with Tuesday. Woo! On Tuesday, I had 9 sales, which makes sense because it's from over the weekend and Monday. And it was a holiday. Sometimes there tends to be more sales on holidays. Sometimes not. Why? I don't know. We had 6 sales on eBay, 2 on Poshmark, and 1 lovely little one on Mercari. On eBay, we had a lot of 10 unbranded gold bangle bracelets. It sold for $12 with $7 shipping, and eBay released $15.97 to me. Then we had an antique red-orange dresser scarf, selling all of these for a friend. These are super cool. They sold for $25 with $7 shipping, and eBay released $27.21. Then we have this Calvin Klein blue silk floral tie. It sold for $10 and $5 shipping. eBay released $12.59. Then we have a vintage Veronique white knit scarf. It sold for $10 with $4.50 shipping. eBay released $12.15. Then we have this Cider Secret Garden tapestry style top. It sold for $15 with $6.50 shipping. eBay released $18.24. And finally on eBay, we have a Powerhouse Gym branded metal keychain with a bungee cord strap. It sold for $10 with $5.50 shipping, and eBay released $13.06. Then on Poshmark, we had this really cool vintage crystal art glass vase. It had an Asian theme. I sold it for a friend. It is really cool. It sold for $59, and Poshmark released $47.20. Then we have this original use parrot bird button-up shirt. Original Use is a Target brand. It sold for $10, and Poshmark released $7.05. Then on Mercari, we sold this 2012 Tinkerbell vocabulary book. It sold for $8, and Mercari released $6.39. So the amount released to me from the platforms was $159.86. We have to take out some shipping labels and commissions. Shipping labels, we have $6.25, $6.52, $5.72, $5.97, $5.83, $6.24. Then we had 2 commissions, which were $10.34 and $23.60. So that $159.86 goes down to $89.39. And again, that's just our pre-net. See, it's almost half. So, we're still realizing that we suck at our shipping costs and are working on that, and I've gotten better about it. Okay, on Wednesday, we only had 1 sale, and that was on eBay. It was this Cal State Long Beach bag, and it sold for $10 with $6 shipping. eBay released $13.47. The actual shipping cost was $6.19. So my pre-net for the day was a lovely $7.28, which will pay for my coffee. I think I've already used that joke, but nobody's watching this, so. Then on Thursday, we have 2 sales, both on eBay. We have this 2018 Wizarding World Harry Potter Hermione doll. It sold for $17 with $6.50 shipping. eBay released $19.91. Then we sold this vintage 1981 Pink and Pretty Barbie top and necklace. It sold for $10 with $5 shipping. eBay released $12.57. So money released to me was $32.48. But we had to pay for 2 labels, which were $6.94 and $5.97, for a grand, lovely pre-net of $19.57. So maybe a fast food meal now we can purchase. I like to equate it with stuff I can buy, because it's like you really see how many things I need to sell to pay for things. And then on Friday, we had 1 sale on eBay. We had this pair of Brunswick white bowling shoes. They sold for $20 with $10 shipping. eBay released $29.80. The actual shipping cost was $11.56, so undershot that again. I've had them for a while, so at the time period, $10 seemed reasonable. But my pre-net for that day was $18.24. And so my pre-net for that last week of May was $134.48, which is basically right in line with what the huge is. It ends up being anywhere on the low end of the hundreds to the medium end of the hundreds. and for a weekly sale, and that's before we've taken out some other stuff. So this is just our pre-net. We haven't taken out taxes or cost of goods or any of that stuff. Sad. Like I said, part-time reseller making part-time pay.
Help me, I'm poor.
So let's go through May and see how we did. It is funny because as I'm going through the months, even though there are like higher sales months, and we haven't gotten to like the holidays, but with the economy being a little, and by a little, I mean a lot, fun right now, it is interesting to see how consistent the range is for my weekly sales. So for May, we had a grand total of 44 sales, which is not bad for a month. The gross profit was $953.75. Now, we spent the last few weeks getting to our pre-net. So just taking out the shipping labels, the platform fees, and commissions, my pre-net for the month was $532.48. So that's over $400 less. And again, shipping seems to be my biggest issue. Curse you, post office. The other things that we need to account for the month were my donations that I make. So $22 went to the Second Harvest Food Bank. I have an eBay store subscription, so I don't get charged for each listing. And so that is $21.95 each month. So we have to take another $21.95 out this month. My cost of goods is always pretty low. I get most of my stuff from the bins. It was $34 total. So taking out all of that, we have $454.53. But let's hold 30% for taxes, which is $136.35. So as close to my net profit as I can get for the month, we have $318.18. That's literally a third. A third of what the buyer pays, I actually take home. It used to be a little bit higher, but like I said, I'm really getting screwed with the shipping costs. And here's the conundrum that I mentioned last week. Like, yes, I can increase the shipping costs, which is great, but is that going to price me out of sales? You know, if everybody else has their price lower. It's always one of those things that you got to think about. But that's always a very sobering thought. And it always reminds me of how much better I can be about things. And that's what we're doing with this video too, is to learn like in real time how to make this profitable, how to make this more beneficial for myself. I know I like joke around a lot about being an artist. It does sometimes seem like a joke. It's funny. Like, I'm very proud of being a performer. I love it with all of my heart, but it is literally one of the worst professions to be a part of. It is so hard. Like, if you think reselling's hard, boy, oh boy, getting rejected time and time again for you is awesome. I can't even tell you. And, you know, the rate of pay, especially for like theater performers, has not increased with the cost of living. It is not, it's like the minimum wage. It is not increased enough to account for the cost of living. There we go. I can use adult terms when I need to. So I sing professionally, I get paid for it, and that money usually is able to sustain me as a human. However, the money that I make reselling pays for my dad's rent. My dad is over 80. My sister and I both subsidize his rent because his Social Security doesn't even begin to cover, you know, his needs, and it's a whole thing. But when other stuff starts to come up, so I don't have all this extra income, like dental issues that have come up, or, you know, things that you need to get done to your car, because I live in California, it's hard and it is stressful, because this last month with taking a week off for my nephew's graduation, I was really strapped. And it was like, oh man, my poor boyfriend, I was just like really stressed out about finances, and it was hard. I mean, there are so many people, and especially with kids, who are dealing with much, much worse things than I am. I am a very privileged human, but every time I see like all the work I do put in for this reselling, and then I see what I actually take home when all is said and done, it's sometimes is a little sad. I love it. I love what I do. It's like performing, but sometimes you just look at the paycheck and you're like, what am I doing with my life? Why didn't I go to law school?
Silence! Silence in this courtroom! Ma'am, did you bring your own gavel? It is a meat tenderizer.
Anyway, let's finish this up because this video is getting long. Let's do last week's sales. Like I said, extremely minimal. I was really sick, so there was only like 2 days. One day, my boyfriend went to the post office because I was too sick. The next time around, I was past the point of contagion, but it was not a fun experience. So anyways, last Monday we had 4 sales, 3 on eBay, 1 on Poshmark. We had a vintage 1954 Heidi Little Golden Book. It sold for $10 with $5 shipping. eBay released $12.21. Then we had this Notori Feathers Luxe Plunge Bra. It was new. It sold for $25 with $6 shipping, and eBay released $26.66. Then we had this Cost Plus Clay Pig Ornament, sold for $5 with $3 shipping. That's been up for a while because of those prices. eBay released $6.63. So basically, I'm not making any money on that. That is just to save something from the landfill, which is cool. And they also gave me a really lovely positive review. So, you know, it was worth it. But yeah. Well, remember the days when you could charge $3 for shipping and it would be enough. Anyhow, Poshmark, we had this Disney Mickey Goofy comic button-up shirt. I had a really great conversation with the buyer of this. They were going to Disneyland. They were just asking a little bit about the pictures, like it was hard to see because it was such a bright all over graphic shirt. And so it was hard to see like wear and stuff. So I was just helping them to, show what was going on. They were super nice, and I hope they have an amazing time at Disneyland and get all the compliments on this shirt. But it sold for $10, and Poshmark released $7.05. So the money released to me from the platforms was $52.55. We have to take out 3 shipping labels, $4.47, $6.24, and $5.24. And so the pre-net for the day was $36.60. Then luckily, I could wait all the way until Thursday, and I had 3 sales, 1 on eBay, 2 on Poshmark. On eBay, we had this Eddie Bauer pink, gray, and white packable button-down shirt. It sold for $10 with $5.50 shipping. eBay released $13.13. Then on Poshmark, we had this Anthropology Nia button-down floral high-low shirt. It sold for $13. Poshmark released $10.05. Then we have this small floral quilted blanket and pillowcase. This was actually in my family. I believe it was from my grandmother. My mom had it and I loved it. It just didn't make sense to keep it because we don't need it in our house. Like we weren't using it. So it's going to a good home. It sold for $34 and Poshmark released $27.20. So the money released to me from the platforms was $50.38. We had 1 shipping label to take out, which was $5.83, with a grand pre-net of $44.55. And that was it for the week. So my pre-net for the week was a very sad $81.15. But like I said, I had the plague, so doing anything was a challenge. So that's it. We got through it. Holy crap. Editing this is going to be so much fun.
I'm learning.
Anyways, that's it. In the giving back sphere, besides the money that I sent to the Second Harvest Food Bank, hasn't been a lot. I can do better. Right now, things are so insanely crazy. I got to look at like volunteer opportunities and stuff and see what I can do. But to be continued. Maybe I'll bring some cookies for my cast. Is that a way of giving back? Maybe. Yeah, and that's it. I hope everybody's doing well. If anybody made it to the end of this video, yeah, what are we going to work on this week? Oh, so many things. Back to doing videos. Yeah, just trying to chug along. And sometimes it's just about like getting through life like 1 minute at a time. And that's where I kind of feel like I am right now. So hopefully things will kind of even out a little bit. But I've decided to create 2 small businesses because being an artist is a form of a small business. And it's a lot. It's a lot of uncertainty, and it's a lot of being responsible for everything. And that can be stressful, especially when you are slightly OCD and like need control of everything. And there are some things that you do not have control over. So that has been a big learning lesson. I finally got back to working out today, which was awesome. Like being sick has really just thrown me for a loop. But let's see what happens next week. I mean, next week's numbers are going to be insane. So stay tuned. Unless something happens, and yeah. Don't put that on. Literally, do not put that into the universe, Rachel. Like, seriously. Anyways, you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, actually, you do, because I'm the only one watching these. So anyway, have a wonderful week. Take care. No need to like, subscribe, do anything, honestly, because, yeah, you're a busy person. And I understand that YouTube is a commoditized business and people want to make money from it. I'm just trying to have fun right now. I don't want anything from anybody. No Patreon, no memberships, no, anything that I have an affiliate link for, nothing that I need to like promote. I just hope you are doing well. Know if you're watching this, there's somebody out in the universe who is rooting for you. And yeah, you do you. If you like the video, thank you so much. You will always have my eternal gratitude. If you don't, no worries. I'm not for everybody. Not everybody's going to like you. And if you hate comment, great. It's all good. And whatever you will say, to that I say, fair. Have a wonderful week. If you're a reseller, I hope you have a wonderful week of sales. If you're not, I hope you have a wonderful week. And Carpe Diem, y'all. Let's seize the day. Bye.